Bitcoin is dead. Catchy headline, right? You
Yeah.
probably saw that going around online.
Yeah, it definitely gave some attention, for sure.
It did. Of course, it was a little tongue-in-cheek,
Right.
Geiger Capital just kind of poking fun at Google's announcement.
Yeah, their new Willow quantum computing chip.
Exactly. But it does make you think a little bit, right?
It does.
Like, is there actually a chance that this new tech could pose a threat to Bitcoin?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to try to figure out today.
Yeah, good question.
We've got a couple of great articles to help us unpack this, one from Forbes and another one from Yahoo Finance.
Cool.
And then we'll kind of pepper in some of the social media chatter as well.
Sounds good. I think a lot of people are getting a little caught up in all the hype with this one, so it'll be
Yeah.
good to kind of break it down and
Perfect.
look at, what are the quantum computing basics? How is Bitcoin protected? And then why are some of the experts not really hitting the panic button quite yet?
Exactly. So let's start with quantum computing 101. What makes these computers so different from the ones that we're using right now?
Well, imagine, a regular computer bit is like a light switch, right? It's either on or off, 1 or a 0.
Okay.
A qubit in a quantum computer is more like a dimmer switch. It can be on, off, or somewhere in between, all at the same time.
Whoa.
It's called superposition.
Yeah.
And that lets these computers just tackle problems in a way that a normal computer would just take billions of years to do.
Okay, so that's where they get that crazy power from.
Right.
But the Forbes article mentioned that Google's new Willow chip is still pretty small.
Yeah.
Only 70 qubits.
That's right. And to actually crack the encryption protecting Bitcoin, you'd need millions of qubits, and they need to be stable.
Stable.
Herkin together.
Oh, so we're not quite there yet.
Not even close.
Okay.
Plus, these quantum computers, they're super sensitive.
Yeah.
They need to be kept at these crazy low temperatures.
Oh, wow.
Almost absolute 0, and they're super prone to errors.
Okay, so it's not like we're going to see these popping up in people's houses anytime soon.
Well, not for cracking Bitcoin, no.
Okay, good to know.
But there are a few other applications where they're making a difference now.
Gotcha. So let's talk about Bitcoin's defenses.
Yeah.
How does it hold up against this quantum threat?
Bitcoin uses this thing called a cryptographic hash function. It's called SHA-256.
Okay.
You can kind of think of it like a super secure lock, right? To find the right key, a brute force attack would need to try a crazy number of combinations,
Right.
like 2 to the power of 256.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a massive number. Even the most powerful computers that we have today wouldn't be able to crack that in, billions of years.
Okay, so SHA-256 is basically like a digital fortress.
You could say that, but there's this thing called Grover's algorithm, which is this quantum algorithm that could potentially speed up attacks on things like SHA-256.
Oh, so this is where it gets a little scary.
Well, not quite. Because even with Grover's algorithm, the amount of computing power that you would need is still insane.
Right.
Remember, we're talking millions of qubits. They all need to be stable, error-free, working perfectly together. And like I said, we're just nowhere near that kind of technology right now.
Okay, well, that's a relief.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Bitcoin developers aren't just sitting around like twiddling their thumbs hoping for the best, are
Yeah, no, definitely not.
they? Okay.
They have been aware of this potential for quantum threats for years.
Okay.
Like, the Bitcoin wiki actually has a whole page dedicated to quantum computing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was created back in 2016.
Wow, that's pretty ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So what kind of things are they doing to prepare for this quantum future?
Well, one of the simplest but most effective things is just using Bitcoin addresses only once.
Okay.
That minimizes the amount of time a quantum computer would have to try and crack the code.
Right.
So that makes it way harder.
Simple solution for a complex problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So are we on the brink of a crypto apocalypse?
Not really. Remember, a lot of this hype around quantum computing is just that. It's hype.
Yeah.
We've seen this before with these quantum supremacy claims. Even physicist Sabine Hossenfelder, whose work I follow closely,
Yeah.
she's been pretty critical of this whole Google announcement.
Okay.
She's pointed out that similar claims in the past were later questioned, and some were even replicated on regular computers.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
So maybe a little healthy skepticism is in order here.
definitely. And mathematician Gil Kalai also suggests we shouldn't take these announcements at face value.
Okay.
He argues that some of the claims may actually reflect the researchers' expectations more than objective reality.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So it seems like these Bitcoin is dead. Headlines are a bit premature.
I would agree, yes.
Okay.
Quantum computing is a game changer, for sure, but it's still super early.
Right.
And its full impact on things like cryptography, it's still pretty unclear.
Okay, so you're saying keep an eye on it, but no need to panic just yet.
Ex-
Right, that's good to know. But what about the flip side of that? Could Bitcoin actually benefit from quantum computing in any way?
That's a great question, and the answer is potentially yes.
Okay.
Remember, Bitcoin is decentralized and it's super adaptable.
Right.
So if quantum computing does reach a point where it's a real threat, the community can just implement quantum-resistant algorithms.
Okay, so are there any, like, options being considered at this point?
Yeah, there are a few.
Okay,
One is called lattice-based cryptography.
interesting.
It relies on these, like, super complex math problems that even quantum computers would struggle to solve.
So instead of trying to outmuscle the quantum computers, we're outsmarting them.
You got it.
I like that.
And then there's also this resurgence of interest in these things called hash-based signatures, which are actually a really old concept in cryptography,
Okay.
but their potential for quantum resistance has kind of brought them back.
Okay, so we're going back to basics.
Yeah.
But with this new appreciation for their strength,
Right. Sometimes the old ways are surprisingly robust.
that is encouraging.
Yeah.
It seems like there are a lot of really smart people working on solutions to make sure crypto can weather this whole quantum storm.
Absolutely. It's a super exciting time to be in the space. There's so much innovation happening,
Yeah,
all driven by this shared goal of creating a more secure digital future.
totally. So we talked a lot about the potential threats,
Yeah.
but let's just zoom out for a second. What are the bigger implications of this quantum computing revolution? It's not just about Bitcoin, right?
Right. It's definitely not just Bitcoin.
Okay.
Quantum computing has the potential to revolutionize like a ton of industries. Medicine, material science, artificial intelligence, even climate modeling.
Yeah, it sounds like we're on the cusp of a whole new technological era.
It does.
But with great power comes great responsibility.
That's a good point. There are definitely ethical concerns that we need to address as this technology develops, but historically we've seen how innovation can really drive progress and make our lives better.
Okay, so a cautious optimism is the way to go.
I would say so, yeah. It's a super exciting time to be alive and witness these breakthroughs.
Totally. All right, before we wrap up this part of our discussion, I want to go back to something we were talking about earlier, this idea that Bitcoin might actually be more secure than some of the systems that we use every day,
Yeah.
even with this potential quantum threat looming.
It is a bit ironic,
Is
considering the reputation that Bitcoin sometimes gets,
Yeah,
as this risky, volatile thing.
right.
It could end up being more resilient than parts of the digital world that we just kind of take for granted.
Right, it's all about understanding the nuances.
Yeah,
Different types of cryptography have different strengths and weaknesses.
exactly. And don't forget, Bitcoin security is always evolving.
Right.
So the community is always exploring and implementing new solutions.
So no need to panic, but it's smart to stay informed.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to something as complex as this.
It really is. This has been a fascinating dive into this world of quantum computing and Bitcoin.
Yeah, it has.
We've covered a lot of ground today, but there is still more to explore.
There is.
In part 2, we'll look at how Bitcoin's creators actually anticipated some of these challenges from the very beginning.
That's right.
We'll also look at the latest innovations in quantum-resistant cryptography and what the future might hold for this really exciting field.
It's going to be good.
It is. So stay tuned for more insights and analysis, and don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications.
Yeah, so you don't miss part 2.
Exactly. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to our exploration of quantum computing and Bitcoin.
Yeah, last time we were talking about how Bitcoin developers have actually been thinking about this potential quantum threat for years now, even before all the recent hype.
Yeah, that's right. The awareness actually goes all the way back to Bitcoin's mysterious creator, Satoshi Nakamoto.
Oh, yes, Satoshi,
Yeah.
the OG crypto legend.
Exactly.
I wonder if they were already thinking about this back then.
Yeah. Well, they were. And in fact, we can actually see evidence of this foresight in a post on the Bitcoin forum, bitcointalk.org, from way back in 2010.
2010, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Satoshi actually addressed the fact that, computers are constantly getting faster and that quantum computers could potentially be a risk at some point in the future. But even back then, they didn't seem too worried. They believed that Bitcoin had time to adapt.
So Satoshi wasn't just, like, ignoring the problem. They recognized it, but they had faith that the system could evolve.
Right, exactly.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I think that, that kind of proactive thinking and adaptability has really been a defining feature of Bitcoin's development
Totally.
all along.
All right, so let's get into some of these quantum-resistant algorithms that we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
What are some of the front runners in that space?
One of the most promising is called lattice-based cryptography.
Lattices, okay.
It's based on these mathematical problems that are believed to be incredibly difficult for even quantum computers to solve.
Break that down for me. Like, what is a lattice?
Okay, so imagine like a grid of points
Okay.
in multidimensional space.
Multidimensional, all right, yeah.
A lattice is kind of like a structured subset of those points.
Okay.
And the security of lattice-based cryptography relies on the difficulty of finding certain points within that lattice,
Okay.
even with the help of a quantum computer. So it's kind of like hiding a needle in a cosmic haystack.
We're using math that's so complex that even a quantum computer just gets stumped.
Pretty much.
I like it.
And the cool thing is lattice-based cryptography, this isn't just theory, like Google's already using it in some of its products. And there are even projects going on right now to develop post-quantum cryptography standards based on lattices.
So this is actually happening in the real world right now.
It is, yeah.
That's cool.
And then another interesting area is, these hash-based signatures, which have seen a resurgence in interest.
Hash-based signatures. Didn't we talk about those with SHA-256?
That's right. Hash functions are like unique digital fingerprints for data.
Yeah.
And hash-based signatures kind of use those fingerprints to create digital signatures that are super difficult to forge, even for a quantum computer.
So we're kind of going back to basics,
Yeah.
but appreciating them in this whole new way with the quantum threat in mind.
Right, exactly.
Cool.
Sometimes the old ways are surprisingly resilient.
Yeah, that's encouraging. It seems like there are a lot of really brilliant minds working on solutions to make sure that crypto can stand the test of time, even in the face of these quantum advancements.
For sure. Yeah, it's a super exciting time to be in this field. There's just so much innovation happening, and it's all driven by this goal of creating a more secure and resilient digital future.
That's awesome. All right, so we talked a lot about the tech side of things, but I kind of want to zoom out for a second and just consider the bigger picture.
Okay.
What are the broader implications of this whole quantum computing revolution? It's not just Bitcoin. Yeah.
It's definitely not just Bitcoin. Quantum computing has the potential to revolutionize tons of industries, from medicine and material science to artificial intelligence, climate modeling, pretty much everything.
Okay, yeah, I love this stuff. Give me some examples.
Okay, well, in medicine, for example, quantum computers could help us design new drugs and therapies, with incredible speed and accuracy.
Oh, wow.
Potentially cutting development time down from years to weeks.
That's a massive improvement. So many lives could be saved with faster drug development.
Right, and how about materials science? Quantum computers could help us design new materials with these amazing properties, like lighter, stronger materials for aerospace, way more efficient solar panels for renewable energy, even game-changing battery tech with super high capacity.
It sounds like sci-fi, but are there actually companies doing this right now?
There are, yeah. Volkswagen, for example, is using quantum computers to actually simulate battery materials for their electric vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're hoping to design batteries that charge faster and last way longer.
So quantum computing is driving the future of transportation as well.
That's right. And then, finance is a big one. Quantum computers could totally change financial modeling, risk management, portfolio optimization. Imagine being able to analyze market trends and risks with a level of accuracy that's just not possible today.
Right. That would be a game changer.
It would.
So who's leading the charge in finance?
Well, JP Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs are investing a lot in quantum computing research.
Interesting.
They're exploring its potential in areas like algorithmic trading and fraud detection.
It really seems like quantum computing is poised to, impact every industry in some way.
It does.
It's almost like we're at the beginning of, a technological renaissance.
It does feel that way, but, as with any powerful technology, there are ethical considerations that we need to think about.
Okay, yeah, that's a great point. What are some of the potential downsides or risks associated with quantum computing? What should we be keeping an eye on?
I think one concern is job displacement.
Yeah, that's fair.
As these quantum computers get more advanced, they could automate a lot of jobs that humans currently do, and that could lead to, job losses in certain sectors.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something we need to think about.
We do. And I think, what can we do to address that? Well, we need to focus on retraining and upskilling the workforce to prepare for the jobs of the future.
Right.
Education and training programs are going to be crucial in making sure that people have the skills they need to thrive in a quantum-powered economy.
So it's about adapting to the changes and not being afraid of them.
Exactly. And then another concern is the potential for misuse.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Quantum computers could be used to develop new cyber weapons or to break the encryption systems that protect our sensitive data.
Okay, now we're getting into some scary territory.
Right.
How do we prevent that from happening?
Well, I think it's going to take international cooperation and a really strong set of ethical guidelines.
Yeah.
We need to establish norms and regulations to govern the development and use of quantum computing, just to make sure that it's being used for the right reasons.
So a global effort is needed to make sure that this powerful tech is used responsibly.
I think so. The future of quantum computing, and really the future of our world, depends on our ability to collaborate and to keep those ethics in mind right alongside, all the incredible technological advancements that are happening.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a lot to think about. But I'm optimistic. Like, we humans have a history of figuring this stuff out.
Yeah, we do.
We've seen how technological innovation can lead to amazing progress. I'm optimistic that quantum computing will be no different.
I agree. It is a fascinating and transformative technology.
Totally.
And it really does have the potential to reshape our world for the better.
For the better, that's what we like.
That's what we want.
Okay, so before we move on to the final part of our discussion, I want to circle back to something we were discussing a bit earlier, this idea that Bitcoin might actually be more secure than some of the systems that we rely on every day,
Yeah.
even with this quantum threat on the horizon.
Yeah, it is a bit ironic, isn't it?
It is.
Considering the reputation Bitcoin often gets as this risky and volatile asset, it could turn out to be way more resilient than a lot of the foundational elements of our digital world.
So it's all about understanding those nuances.
Exactly.
Different types of cryptography have different strengths and weaknesses.
They do. And don't forget, Bitcoin security is always evolving.
Right.
The community is actively exploring and implementing all these new quantum-resistant solutions. So even if, quantum computers do become a threat down the road, Bitcoin is well positioned to adapt.
So no need to panic.
No need to panic.
But it is smart to stay informed and keep learning about this space.
I think that's great advice. Knowledge is always the best way to combat fear and uncertainty.
It really is. This has been a fascinating exploration of quantum computing, Bitcoin, and the future of cryptography.
It has, yeah.
In the final part of our discussion, we'll look at some real-world examples of how quantum computing is already being used and explore some of the ethical and societal implications of this game-changing technology.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. So we spent a lot of time talking about quantum computing in theory, but now I'm really curious to see how it's actually being used out there, in the real world.
Yeah, for sure. Even though it's still pretty early days for quantum computing, there are already some really cool applications popping up across different industries.
Okay, so give me some examples. I want to see this quantum magic in action.
All right, well, how about drug discovery? Traditional drug development, it's a notoriously long and expensive process, often taking years, even billions of dollars, to get a single new drug to market.
Right, it's a long process.
Yeah. But quantum computers could really speed that up significantly.
Okay, that's promising. How would they even do that?
Well, they can simulate molecular interactions with a crazy level of precision that's just not possible with traditional computers.
Yeah.
So this lets scientists design and test new drug candidates in a virtual environment, basically.
Oh, wow.
Which really helps them identify the most promising options way faster.
So less time, less money to
Exactly.
develop these new treatments.
Right. So we could be talking about life-saving drugs being developed in a fraction of the time it takes today.
That would be incredible.
It would.
Okay, cool.
Well, another area where quantum computing is making a difference is material science. Remember those? Super strong, lightweight materials and ultra-efficient solar panels we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Well, quantum computers could help us design those.
So it's not just sci-fi anymore. Are there any companies working on this?
Oh, yeah, definite. Volkswagen, for example. They're using quantum computers to simulate different battery materials, hoping to develop batteries that charge faster and last longer for their electric vehicles.
So quantum computing is kind of driving innovation in the automotive industry, too.
Right, exactly.
What other fields are being impacted by this?
Well, finance is a big one. Quantum computers have the potential to revolutionize things like, financial modeling, risk management, portfolio optimization. Imagine being able to analyze market trends and risks with this incredible level of accuracy.
Right. That's not possible today.
It's not possible today.
That would be a total game changer.
It would.
So who is leading the charge when it comes to finance?
Well, major players like JP Chase and Goldman Sachs,
Okay.
they're already pouring resources into quantum computing research.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're exploring applications in algorithmic trading and fraud detection.
It seems like every industry is going to be touched by this in some way.
Yeah, it really does.
It's almost like we're entering like a new era of technological advancement.
Yeah, it does feel that way.
Yeah, very cool. But it's important to remember that with any powerful new technology, there are always potential downsides and ethical considerations.
Right.
So what are some of the things that we should be cautious about when it comes to quantum computing?
Well, I think one of the biggest concerns is job displacement. As quantum computers get more and more sophisticated, they could potentially automate a lot of jobs that humans currently do,
Yeah.
which could lead to, like, significant job losses in certain sectors.
Okay, that's definitely something that we need to be thinking
Oh,
about.
we do. And I think, what can we do to address that? Well, we need to really focus on retraining and upskilling the workforce so people are ready for those jobs of the future.
Right.
Like, education and training programs, they're going to be crucial to making sure that people have the skills that they need to thrive in, this quantum-powered world.
So it's not about being afraid of the changes, it's about adapting to them.
Exactly. And then I think another concern is just like the potential for misuse, Quantum computers, I mean, they could be used to develop new cyber weapons or to break the encryption that protects sensitive data.
Yeah, okay. Now we're getting into like scary territory here a little bit.
Right, exactly.
How do we prevent that kind of thing from happening?
Well, I think it's going to require like international cooperation
Okay.
and a really like strong set of ethical guidelines.
Yeah.
We need to establish norms and regulations that govern the development and use of this technology just to make sure that it's being used for good
Right, and not for bad.
and not for bad.
So it's going to take like a global effort, basically, to make sure that this powerful technology is used responsibly.
I think so. Yeah, the future of quantum computing, and I think, really the future of our world depends on our ability to work together and to prioritize those ethical considerations alongside all of the, technological advancements that are happening.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It's definitely a lot to think about, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
We've seen time and on time again how, like, innovation can drive progress and really make our lives better. I believe that quantum computing will ultimately be a force for good.
I agree. It is a truly fascinating and transformative technology
Absolutely.
with a huge potential to reshape our world.
Yes, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an amazing journey exploring this whole topic with you. We went from, like, the theoretical foundations of quantum computing to its real-world applications, and even touched on those ethical considerations.
Yeah, it's been a great discussion.
It has.
And I think it's clear that quantum computing is going to be a major force shaping our future.
Right.
And I'm excited to see what happens next.
Me too. And to everyone listening, I encourage you to keep learning and exploring this really fascinating field. There's so much more to discover out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who knows, maybe one of you listening will be the next big pioneer in the quantum revolution.
That would be cool.
That would be very cool.
And that's a wrap for today.
Awesome. Thanks for listening.
Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of our future discussions.